Hi, everyone, and welcome to Unique Peace. Thank you for joining us today. Today, I have a wonderful guest. Her name is Phaedra. She is the founder of the Balam Foundation. It is a wonderful organization dedicated to helping cats in Mexico, and they actually help find homes throughout the country, and they really do lots of good work. And I'm excited to talk to her today. So, welcome,
Thank you so much. Thank you for
Phaedra.
having me.
How are you this morning?
Good, thank you.
Good.
How are you?
I am excellent today. This is a
Good,
wonderful day.
good.
So, as noted, you started the Balam Foundation, and I know that Balam was a wonderful soul trapped in a cat's body.
Yes, he was. He was.
And why don't you kind of walk us through Balam's story and the Balam Foundation story?
Well, Balam was a very opinionated Oriental short hair cat who became famous on Instagram because of his human-like qualities and the way he and I would have conversations together. And I decided to use my page. I wanted to leverage his fame in a way that helped more animals. And so when we got, I don't know, I can't remember how many followers we had when I founded the Balam Foundation, but it was like, I don't know, maybe we had 250,000 or something like that on Instagram. And I founded a 501c3 nonprofit in his name, the Balam Foundation, specifically. So I live in Mexico, and I don't know for those of you who've traveled to Mexico, one of the first things you'll see when you come here is you'll see dogs in the road, and they're homeless, and the cats are there too. We just don't see them; they're hiding. But truthfully, Mexico has one of the worst animal I can't even find the right words, but one of the worst animal stewardships in the entire world. We have more homeless animals than anywhere else. So I set up the Balam Foundation to sterilize. So what we started by doing is going into all these impoverished communities where all these people have no access to healthcare for their animals, and we started sterilizing them for free. And then I realized that there was no way we could do that kind of work without rescuing too, because people would start coming to us with animals and say, look, I found this box of discarded kittens. I found these kittens in the garbage. And so another branch of the foundation was born. So although my main focus is still on sterilization, I think to date, God, we've probably sterilized, I don't know, probably close to 7,000 animals in 3 years, I think, 4 years.
Wow.
Um, and that's my main mission because that's how we stop animals from suffering in the street. Sterilization is really the most important thing. Um, and it seems to be working. Touch wood. I'm touching wood when I say this, but so far this kitten season, last year we had received so many more kittens than we've received so far this year. I hope I'm not jinxing myself by saying that. But so far so good. I think we're getting somewhere. Um, so Balam died of a tragic accident in September of 2024. None of us saw it coming. It was due to veterinary malpractice. He had a broken hip. There's no good reason for his death. None of it makes sense to me. Um, but here I am now without him and continuing his legacy.
That's beautiful. And that is special because there are so many animals that need homes. And then there's also so many colonies that sterilizing helps. It reduces that suffering for sure. It definitely helps the animal live longer too. So
Right.
that's helpful. So whether they go back to a colony or they get adopted out, you're extending their life.
Exactly.
And I am a true cat mom myself. I not that I don't love the dogs or my dog. I'm just drawn to cats.
Yeah.
They get a bad rap, but they're just as loving as any other.
Oh, absolutely. I think that I think cats are too often very unfairly compared with dogs. You know, it's like
Yes.
comparing apples and oranges. They're different. They're different creatures. You can't apply, you know, you can't apply the same criteria that you would apply to a dog to a cat, because dogs are pack animals and cats are just wired differently. They're much more independent.
They are.
But they love, I have to say this, they love feline company. And I think a lot of people think that cats don't, you know, need to be solitary. They absolutely don't. Cats, domesticated cats, absolutely like company of other cats.
Yes, absolutely. They do
And
so.
it's important. Bonded pairs are really important. And we tend to adopt in bonded pairs because I'm a strong believer that cats really do need companions.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's very true. Unless there's a reason for it, which there isn't most of the time, they should come in pairs because
Yep.
they have that companionship. When they're kittens, they have the playmate. When they're older, they have the companionship.
Exactly.
And they're so each cat has their own personality, as you know, so it's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. They really do. I'm always amazed at how much person they have.
Yes. And starting you in starting the Balam Foundation in Balam's name, both living and postpartum, how how have you discovered that brings you peace?
Yeah, it's funny that you asked this question because this week, you know, in advance of this interview, I knew that, you know, the topic of the conversation was peace. And I kept thinking, my job is not peaceful. There's nothing about what I do that is peaceful. Rescue is incredibly difficult. It's, you know, what we're doing is we're picking up after the worst parts of humanity, really, you know, apathy, cruelty, um, ignorance, all the worst things about us humans. And so there's a lot of heartache in it. And but what I came to is that for me, I I derive peace from knowing two things. One, that I'm walking my own path, that I myself am creating for myself and the world, that it has meaning,
Yep.
that it has um, depth, um, that I'm not that I really am coming into the world as me, and I, you know, I'm bringing this to the world, and so I get peace knowing that I'm in my vocation. And I get peace knowing, for example, when we adopt a cat out, we rarely adopt locally in Mexico. It's very, very difficult to find homes for cats here, especially because we live in a small hilltop town. People do not adopt cats. It's very, very rare. I mean, cats in general in Mexico, in many places, are still thought of as vermin. Um, Many people think it's amusing to torture them. I mean, cats get a really bad rap here. Mexicans prefer dogs because they see dogs as being quote unquote useful, because dogs can protect people's homes. Um, but I think I find peace in receiving all the videos and photos that I get from adopters. So once the cat that we've worked so hard to save is taken to the United States by one of our flight angels, and they settle in beautifully, and you know, there they are living a really happy, spoiled life that they would never have lived, where they would never have had the opportunity to live here, and if the Balam Foundation didn't exist.
And aside from the Balam Foundation, how do you personally define peace?
I've been thinking about this too, because I don't think that peace is necessarily passive. I think it can also be an act of resistance. It can also be active. Um, I mean, peace in one way is like, the absence of tension, the absence of friction, it's the absence of war. But especially now, those of us who are choosing peace, it's really an act of resistance
Yeah,
in today's current
climate.
climate. But I
And
mean, we have to be peaceful warriors, right? I mean,
right.
never, I don't think there's ever been a time where so many people have been called to peaceful protest. And I think that's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger in time.
In time, yes.
Because I mean, our planet is on the line, you know?
Yes.
Um, I mean, I obviously I don't want to get political, but
No.
obviously there's a lot happening out there that a lot of us don't agree with. A
Right.
lot of us peaceful folk don't agree with.
So, with everything externally going on, how do you find and carve time out for your own peacefulness? How do you cultivate that in yourself?
So one of my favorite things to do is at the end of the day, I will go and hang out with the cats over at the foundation. And I'll just go into their catios and just lie there. And I try not to think about anything. I try not to think about who I need to get adopted, all the things I have to do, how busy my day was. I try to think about nothing and just kind of go there. And I feel like cats are good. I feel like they're inherently attracted. I mean, we all are, right? But they're inherently attracted to peace. They like stillness. They, they're all little Zen masters.
They
So,
are. They
so,
absolutely are.
I try and go in there and go to their level and just be still and quiet with them and enjoy their company quietly.
Yes, they are the Zen masters. They
They're
they
totally
they
Zen masters. Cats are all Zen masters. They really are extraordinary.
yeah. And I've had a few in my lifetime that, like, when you're jazzed up or when you're tense, they have a knack for, like, pet me, sit with me,
Yes, they
let's
know.
purr, let's
And
calm down.
often they'll come and like sit on you and right, make you still. I mean, and the rule, everybody knows the cat rule. If you have a cat on your lap, you
Mhm.
can't move.
No,
That is the law.
that is the law. They absolutely. It's like I can't move. I have to go to the bathroom, but I
No, you
can't.
can't. You can't go.
Nope,
You have
not
to
really.
wait until they decide to get off you. That's the law.
That's
It's
the
amazing what we can get, anyone in our family can get away with if they've got a cat in their lap. I'll ask my husband to do something, and if he responds, "I can't, I have a cat on my lap," I'm like, "Oh, well, okay." I mean,
okay.
it's a valid thing.
It is the truth in my family as well. My parents currently have five, and when either of them have a procedure, they have all the cat. They usually have all of the animals, which is five cats and two dogs, surrounding them because the animals know clearly. Um, but my father has this one cat. She is that is her human, and when he, like, has any procedure or anything, she follows him everywhere, and he's like, I just want to go have a cigarette, and it's not she's tormenting you, she's making sure you're okay.
Right.
So there's been times where he'll sit in his recliner and he'll have three on his lap.
Heaven.
Seven. It's like I can't move. What am I gonna do? Like, because if I try, it's hard enough to disrupt one, but when you have three, Just stay there.
Yeah.
Just stay there.
Yeah.
And when you find that you're peaceful, how do you help bring peace to others?
Well, I don't know. I don't, I guess that might be a question for a follower. I don't know, but I know how I bring peace to the cats.
Okay.
Um, it is a terrible thing for any one of us to be homeless, to have to um, struggle to find food, shelter, love. So, when any one of us is given these things, love, shelter, and food, we thrive. In fact, I posted a video yesterday about on the before and after of many of our rescues who've come in. And, even when I was looking at it, I was like, wow, you look at the before and they're a mess and they've got wounds and they're starving and they're skinny and, and they've needed surgery and blah, blah, blah. And then, nature's incredible because the body's capacity to heal constantly amazes me. I used to be an acupuncturist, so I come from the healing arts. Uh, so I'm not, I, I run a nonprofit, but I'm also, I'm a healer.
I I am a Reiki master, so I understand the for sure the healing arts and the difference that can make.
Hmm.
And do you find that being a healer that you are drawn to the animals or that they are drawn to you?
I mean, I always wanted to work with animals, and I didn't know how to because I didn't think I could be a vet, and I'm pretty sure that's probably still true. Um, but throughout my life, uh, people have noted to me that they come to me, and they do, um, and I think they know intuitively who's going to help them, who they can ask for help. Um, even at the Balam Foundation, we have cats who, so to speak, will only talk to me. they'll only they'll only show their soft side for me, not the staff, not the other staff, just me. And I don't really know what that's about, but it's very sweet. I don't know what they see, but I take it as a compliment.
I would too. It's that trust factor. It's that trust factor. They
Yes,
know, they definitely know this person's not going to harm me. This person is
right. I mean, I
there to
think they
help.
know. I think sometimes I think they know who saved them.
Yes, yes, for sure. And as you are bringing peace to the cats and to the animals, when you're finding them new homes, how does that come into play?
Well, for us, it's a really, really complicated. I wish our adoptions were simple, but they are anything but. They basically, I have to make a video and publish it, and then and just wait, and then somebody will send us an application, and we don't charge an adoption fee because the adopter has to pay for the transport and all the transportation fees, and it's expensive. Um, and so we forego, it really is a labor of love because we don't get anything in return. And this is why we're so dependent on um, donations because we don't. That's how we go. That's how we make our. That's how we save these cats. Probably more so than most organizations because at least they can charge an adoption fee. We don't.
And
We won't.
when you're making like the connections, do you I personally, having experienced the cat distribution system many times in my life, find that the cat will choose the human it wants. And when do you take that in consideration?
Yeah,
For
absolutely. Absolutely. There are times when I have felt, okay, I'm not sure this is a good pair. There's something about this that doesn't sit with me right. And then invariably those adoptions will not work. And I've learned to just trust life completely, because when something falls away, what I've discovered is something better it comes in its place. So, this is doing this work, you have to trust a lot. I have to trust that people will show up for me with donations. I have to trust that I will find homes. And I can't, it'd be very easy to doubt myself, because in a way what we do is audacious, because we know that anybody in the States could go down the road to their local shelter and get a cat. So when people are adopting from us, they really want to help our mission, because in Mexico, there's really no culture of people going to adopt a cat from a shelter. For example, in the United States, there's about 14,000 animal organizations. In Mexico, we have about 100, and most of them deal with dogs, and most of them are poorly run and badly funded. So there's really no culture here of going to a shelter and you just adopt a cat. It doesn't happen. Maybe some places in Mexico City, but it's really not. It's, like I say, cats are only beginning to be understood and beginning to be accepted as pets in Mexico. Um, like I say, a lot of people still think they're vermin. There's a lot of things that have to change by way of education. And that's one of the things that I hope to implement too. We want to go into schools and talk to children about compassionate animal care, because it's difficult, because when you really are very, very poor, you your needs come first. Not
right,
people aren't worried about animals. They don't even have a roof over their own heads. I mean, they're not, and if they do, it's a tin roof. A lot of the places we go to, I mean, it's the poverty is, and I say we go, okay, so I have two, like I said, sterilization is my main driving force. And we go into impoverished communities once a week. And then we also have massive sterilization campaigns every 2 months or so. And all of it's free. All people have to do is show up. Yeah, I don't remember where I was going with that, but it's a lot. We do a lot, a lot, a lot.
yes. And you had said teaching the young kids about compassion. And I do believe there's some piece in that as well, because you're at least trying to educate the next generation
Yeah,
on
absolutely.
in a non-violent way. And I don't know about you, but having a pet as a child does teach you compassion. In addition to all the other things, responsibility and taking care of another living thing and everything, but it does teach you compassion in love.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the truth is we're all better. All of us who have had the great fortune of being raised with animals, I think we're better for it. I think our children are better for it. Because when you live with an animal, you understand. And when I mean, you live in communion, you live in friendship with an animal. Beyond a shadow of doubt, you can see they're sentient. They have all the feelings, all the same feelings that we experience, they have too. And I think something about the human race that really bothers me is our arrogance in thinking that we're the only ones somehow that feel or
Right.
that have intelligence. I'm always I'm so impressed by the intelligence of all things. And I believe everything is sentient and conscious.
Agreed. Agreed. Now, when you're doing this work and you're sterilizing the cats and you're finding homes, do you find that the people that are working with you alongside you find some peace in doing that work as well?
Oh, yes. Yes, absolutely, because they know they're working towards a common good. It's a joy to work with animals, as difficult as it is. Everybody, when we get our cats adopted out, I tell my staff, everybody's happy. We share photos. We have I have a Balam Foundation group with my staff, and we share all the photos of them in their new house, and everybody feels happy and joyous for these animals that they know they've had a part in raising and feeding and caring for, and that now they're living a better life. It has meaning. This work has meaning for everybody involved. And the adopters too, because the adopters know that when you adopt from us, um, you're taking a cat who had no other options. In the States, you'll have the shelters. I imagine they have a relatively quick turnover. I was speaking to somebody recently in Seattle. She said their turnover is around 2 weeks, and I was like, oh my God, you're so lucky. That doesn't happen here. That doesn't happen.
Mm-mm.
So really, I'll say that again. When somebody adopts from us, they're giving that cat a unique chance that they would not get here. Or
And
dogs. Sometimes we rescue dogs too, but obviously we mostly work in cats, and that's because of the great need. Really, there's a lot of rescues. Well, not a lot, because this country needs a lot more. But most rescues here work with dogs.
right, you had mentioned that's because they're seen as protectors
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
in that respect. But cats are too. I
Oh,
mean,
absolutely. In a way, they're different kind of protectors. I feel like they protect. I feel like they're very sensitive to energy and shifts in our energy, and they almost kind of they protect. I feel like they protect the soul somehow.
I was going to say they're spiritual
They're
protectors.
spiritual protectors,
Very
cats,
much.
and I think that's why I'm drawn to them so much. There's something kind of uniquely feminine and mysterious about them,
Yes.
and they're such freaks as well. They're such freaks.
Mhm. Yes, and they can also protect the home in a similar way to dogs that they chase away they chase away vermin. I think that
Right, they chase away vermin, and I've had we had an intruder on our roof, and actually it was one of our cats who warned us about it. So there's that too.
right.
She's a particularly clever one, though. This cat.
They just know. It's like, wait,
Yes.
you don't belong here. So a cat that is not normally vocal, I always pay attention to their energy. If a cat is not normally vocal and they're starting to growl or meow or become
Mhm.
vocal, it's like, what's going on?
Yeah.
What's
Right.
going on?
Right.
I mean, I've had a lot of cats that aren't necessarily talkers, so when they start talking, I pay attention.
Yes. Yeah. They're definitely trying to tell you something.
And it's kind of like, oh, okay. And then you follow them, and they're like, oh, okay. Now you know there's an intruder on your roof, or there's like something in your wall that is fascinating, and you're like, oh, okay.
Right. Right.
But they also kind of let you know, like, if you're not feeling well, if you're feeling sick, their purr has the
Oh,
ability to
yes.
heal.
Yeah, it's extraordinary.
It's that frequency. I think it was like the
Mhm.
147
Yeah.
frequency.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
really extraordinary. This capacity that they have to self heal.
Yes. Yes. So, taking all of that into account, and you, when people want to adopt a cat from your foundation, we have the website going across. What are some of the ways to get in touch with you and find the cats that are up? They're
So
ready.
the best way is to fill out an adoption application, and then somebody will be in touch with you, and that gets the whole ball rolling. And it really is it's a process, but we've adopted, oh gosh, since the beginning, over 300 animals internationally. Um, and it works every time. I mean, and the truth is that because people have to pay a lot to get our cats to them, they really want these cats. You know, these are good. It kind of weeds out the people who aren't too serious,
Yeah.
because I mean, it's expensive, but there's nothing we can do about that, because we want to make sure that our cats are taken with care. And so an adoption from us entails having a flight angel. And so that cat flies in cabin with the flight angel from point A to point B.
That's beautiful. So they know that they've got someone with them the whole time,
The
who's
whole
been with
time.
them
Mhm.
the whole time, and
Mhm.
then they get to go home
Yeah,
and bring that joy to their new family and
yeah,
that peace.
yeah, yeah. And we really do focus on socialization. People say that our cats are extraordinary, and I think there's a lot that goes into that. But I think growing up on the streets in Mexico, it's hard, it's loud, and so they get used to being able to manage a lot. And then when they come to the foundation, we socialize, we socialize the heck out of them. And so, most of them tend to be very, very friendly, happy cats.
And I mean, that comes with time, but that's great because then
Mhm.
you know they're going to live a longer life and they're
Yeah,
gentle.
yeah.
Do you find when you adopt a cat out that not only brings peace to the cat, but brings peace to you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I can't tell you how angst-ridden I can feel until we get applications for whatever cats I'm trying to find homes for. And I, I get such a sense of peace when I know that the cats who have been with us are going somewhere safe, and that's everything we do, we do with the intent on making everything better,
Yeah.
improving whatever circumstance we can improve.
And as you're doing that, you said you're an international organization. What what countries are you all around the globe, or are
So
there
what I
certain
mean by
countries?
that is that even though we're based in Mexico, we're a nonprofit locally here in Mexico, and we're a nonprofit in the United States. Um, uh, but our audience is international. People support us from all over thanks to social media. Because in Mexico, there's a very, people tend to not give to animal organizations. It is not a priority in this country, sadly. And so that's why it's so important that we're here doing the work we're doing, because somebody's got to do it.
Right. So when you're finding homes, that's like you go to Canada, you go to Eastern Europe, you go to Europe.
So most of our cats go to Canada or the United States. We haven't sent anybody to Europe yet because really it's very expensive. That would be very expensive for the adopter. Um, Sometimes we adopt locally, but that's the
Yeah,
exception, not the rule. Most of our cats go to the United States.
okay, beautiful.
Yeah.
And what what are some of the things that we can do to bring peace to our lives and to that of our pets? Not just cats, but to our pets in general.
Um, you know, I think I think they really need us, our company. They really like to spend time with us, and I think they need us. I think beyond just providing them with food. and water and shelter, they need our love and they thrive with our love. And I love seeing all these like interspecies relationships that you'll see, like I don't know, koala hanging out with a giraffe or whatever.
Right.
I mean, it's the same with us. This is an interspecies relationship. And so the connection is beyond words. It's an energetic connection that we have with that animal and they have with us. And I think it's a beautiful thing. There's some people who will say, "Oh, I had a cat and it was the cat of my life and it died and I'm not going to adopt another." But I'm like, I will have my heart shattered 100,000 times because I think that's the point of this whole life thing. I think we're supposed to love over and over and over again. And yes, love hurts
Sometimes it
because
does.
the inverse is loss. And um, you know, I just think the whole point is to just love and keep loving.
Yes. And they exchange. There is always that loving exchange for sure.
Yeah.
And it's so funny that you bring up, like, you just went through the major loss of Balam, and when I went through the loss of one of my dear cats, I never said I would never adopt again, but apparently we had to adopt sooner rather than later. And my mom brought home my next kitten, and it was very funny because I didn't realize how
Yeah.
unpleasant I was
Sorry.
being, and it was very funny. So it's like I was being unpleasant. No, I'm not going to use the word my mom used to describe me, but we got another cat, and we had a cat, but that was my brother's cat. I missed my cat, the one who selected me. So when she brought in this kitten, I took over the cat, and she's like, it was a hostile takeover. I go, there was nothing hostile about it. I just took over the cat. um, but ironically enough, that same cat, while I took responsibility for it, selected my dad over me, which was fine. She was very good with that. And then my stepdad lost a cat. And because he was becoming so unruly, he took a page out of my book and became unruly. My mom had to get him a cat for his birthday. So it's like, it's not replacing because you can't replace that animal. But,
No, no, you
you
can never
just,
replace them, but you can just keep loving. And the truth is that, all of them have something to give. And then every now and then we're lucky enough to have a really deep, special bond
yes,
with an animal.
yes. And I love that type of connection.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all about it. I'm all about it. I've always, from a very young age, I've just always wanted to make connections with animals.
You have done that, and it's a
Yes,
beautiful thing. You've done that. You've made multiple connections,
I have.
both for
I have,
yourself and for others.
yes, I have, and my I really want to work with wildcats. That's one of my goals with the Balam Foundation. We have 6 species of wildcats in Mexico, and most of them are endangered extinction, and they're endangered, and so there's a lot of work to be done. So I'm hoping the universe provides opportunities for that. It's needed.
It is needed, and I think that that's going to happen very soon for you. You're doing amazing with this foundation and everything that you're working towards. And the universe will bring you what you want and what you need.
I trust life. I've learned in my nearly 50 years on this planet that life has a way of bringing you what you need when you need, even if it's painful, even if it's agony. In fact, I think agony is a great point of growth, chaos, all these things that are the opposite of peace. I think, it gives you opportunity to dig in the rubble and find the jewels.
Yes, absolutely.
Transformation.
Transformation. And through transformation, you find that peace.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. And as we are coming to a close, what advice or what nuggets of gold and gems here do you have for finding peace, for helping us find peace?
I think I want to encourage people to take risks and to really follow their hearts, even if it sounds crazy or it feels like it might be crazy. I mean, I think I think I think when you make authentic choices, life has a way of steering you and catching you. And so ultimately, I think that uh, peace is also the pursuit of authenticity. I think if you're authentic to yourself, that's peace.
Yes, very true. Very absolute, excellent reminder. Thank you for that reminder. And as we are coming to a close, I'm going to put Phaedra in the back in the green room, and I'll be right back.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Thank you for joining us. I want to thank everybody today for joining us and learning about the Balam Foundation and how we are bringing peace in homes to these beautiful cats, these beautiful felines that all would love your assistance. If you could go to the Balam Foundation and consider donating or perhaps finding your next pet, greatly appreciated. And we'll see you guys next week on the next conversation about peace.